A month before my wedding to Dylan, he knelt and asked me for something. It wasn't a proposal, it was a plea for me to give the position of bride to his first love. His eyes red, he said, "My mom has Alzheimer's, and she only recognizes Amelia as her daughter-in-law. This is just a performance, to fulfill her dream." I looked at him and smiled. He wanted to put on a show? Fulfill a dream? Fine. I personally designed the grandest stage for him, inviting not only his first love. I also brought back his biological father, Arthur, and his father's mistress, Brenda, dressed to the nines and seated at the head table, a spot that should have belonged to Eleanor. With a month remaining until the wedding, after repeated calls, pleas, and a flare of anger, I issued a final warning. "Dylan, if you don't want to get married, just say so. There's no need to drag your feet when we're choosing our wedding attire." Dylan finally came with me to the bridal boutique to pick out our outfits. He repeatedly explained, "Honey, things have been crazy at work lately. And I'm only this busy because I took time off for the wedding, aren't I?" Inside the bridal boutique, the Vera Wang gown I had meticulously chosen and waited 2 months to try on shimmered under the lights, but he didn't even glance at it. He just kept his head down, fiddling with his cell phone, his fingers dancing across the screen. Noticing my gaze fixed on him, he immediately put his cell phone away, smiling as he explained, "Work's been too much, I'm sorry, babe." As a fellow corporate drone, I wasn't incapable of understanding him, I simply frowned and nodded. From the moment we walked in, through measurements, to the sales associate's enthusiastic descriptions of design inspirations, his fingers never left that screen. Phone notifications and vibrations hummed like a swarm of annoying flies, circling above the bridal boutique. "Dylan," I said, suppressing my irritation, holding up a sheer dress embellished with scatter D diamonds, "how about this one?" He finally looked up from his screen, his gaze vaguely sweeping over the dress like he was scanning an unimportant piece of merchandise, and nodded curtly, "It's beautiful, babe. Everything looks good on you." Before his words faded, his eyes were glued back to his cell phone, his fingertips tapping rapidly, a faint, unconscious curve playing on his lips. The anger in my heart flared, shooting up 3 feet high. Just as I was about to erupt, he seemed to sense my low pressure, abruptly put away his cell phone, stepped forward, and put his arm around my waist, his voice deliberately softened to tenderness. "My fault, I've been too busy lately. Come on, darling, let me properly help you look." He casually pointed to an ornate, regal gown and said, "Why don't you try this one? I think it would really suit you." I stared at the dress, which was clearly not my style, and, with a cold expression, told the sales associate which gown I wanted to try on, then walked into the dressing room without another word. Leaning against the cold mirrored wall, I took a deep breath, trying to convince myself not to dwell on these details, that a marriage needed mutual understanding to last. Faintly, I heard his hushed phone conversation from outside, intermittent and indistinct. The sales associate, noticing my displeasure, quickly spoke up to comfort me. "Ms. Lin, it's really great that your fiancé, even with his busy schedule, came to help you try on wedding gowns. We've seen so many people whose husbands don't come. They talk about surprises, but deep down, who doesn't want their husband to be there?" The sales associate's moderately reassuring words soothed my agitated heart. Perhaps I truly wasn't understanding enough of Dylan. With the sales associate's help, I put on the wedding gown. The ivory satin clung to every curve of my body like a second skin, its enormous train fanned out, elegant and sacred. Holding up the skirt, I slowly walked out. The moment the dressing room curtain opened, the soft lights of the store seemed to focus on me. Dylan looked up at the sound, and in that instant, I distinctly caught the undisguised amazement that erupted in his eyes. That genuine brilliance instantly smoothed away my inner irritation and unease. Happily, I twirled in front of the full-length mirror, gazing at myself in the wedding gown. Joy, shyness, and the anticipation of becoming a wife wove me into a pink bubble, making me wish I could fast forward straight to the wedding. "I'll take this one. Please confirm the order for me." I gestured to the sales associate, then turned to head back into the dressing room to try on the next gown. The moment I turned, Dylan's brows furrowed tightly. He strode forward a few steps, grabbing my wrist, his grip so strong it felt like he might crush my bones. "Evelyn, come with me for a moment." His voice was deep and hoarse, pulling me into a corner with an undeniable authority. Before I could even steady myself, in the next instant, he made a move that nearly froze the blood in my veins. He released my hand, then, without warning, dropped straight to his knees before me. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, darling." He looked up, his face etched with pain and struggle. "There's something I've kept bottled up for too long. If I don't say it now, I'll go crazy. A chill instantly shot through my entire body, starting from my feet. What are you doing? Get up. Bewildered, my voice trembling, I reached out to help him rise. He remained stubbornly kneeling, reaching for my arm, which was covered by the white gown, his voice full of entreaty. Can be the bride for the wedding? The air around us seemed to solidify. I wondered if my ears were playing tricks on me. Dylan had mentioned Amelia before, his first love. They had dated for a long time before eventually breaking up. What? He stammered an explanation, reciting it like a script he had rehearsed countless times. Evelyn, my mom. UK. Now, her Alzheimer's is getting worse. She only recognizes Amelia as her daughter-in-law. Her biggest wish is to see me and Amelia get married. She doesn't have much time left. I'm begging you. I just want to fulfill her last dream. He urgently assured me, his tone almost pleading. It's just the ceremony. Just a formality. The bride's name on the wedding certificate will be yours, the bride price and dowry are all yours, and your relatives will be seated below. It's just the person standing beside me, wearing the wedding gown, will temporarily be Amelia, okay? As soon as the wedding is over, I'll immediately send my mom to the best upscale nursing home. We are the real couple who will register our marriage. I love you, I only love you, please, just this once, bear with it, for me, for my mom. I stood there in my carefully chosen wedding gown, feeling like a resplendent clown, watching my fiancé kneel before me in the prelude to our wedding, begging me to temporarily yield my own wedding, my groom, and everything I had, to another woman. So, is that why you kept delaying coming to choose the wedding gown with me? I slowly uttered the sentence, like a teacher asking a student a question, knowing the answer already. The world was terrifyingly quiet, leaving only his heavy breathing and the sound of my heart shattering piece by piece. After returning home, I locked myself in my room for 3 days. I didn't cry, nor did I make a scene. My tears had already been utterly frozen dry by that absurd request in the bridal boutique that day. My mind replayed the beginning and end of my relationship with Dylan like a movie. He and I were introduced by Richard, my father's friend of several decades. Uncle, my father's friend, was also Dylan's company boss. At a gathering, Uncle slapped his chest and assured my father, Richard, my company's Dylan is a rare talent. He's capable, dependable, and most importantly, responsible and dutiful to Fami. Ly. He's carrying the burden of a sick mother all by himself, never complained, and put himself through graduate school. Entrust your precious daughter to him. I, Thomas, stake my personal integrity on it, absolutely no problem. Looking back now, those words, dutiful to family, were truly spot on. When we first met, Dylan was impeccable. He smiled as he listened to Uncle's introduction, looking at me with just the right amount of admiration and flattered surprise. He spoke articulately, had clear plans for the future, and interspersed his conversation with worries and plans for his mother's illness, crafting a perfect image of someone who had grown through adversity yet remained sunny and optimistic. At that time, I thought that if he could treat his mother so well, he would surely treat my parents the same way. I was so foolish, truly. I had forgotten that for a man who made duty to family his lifelong mission, anything in his life script could be sacrificed for filial piety, including marriage, including himself. On the 4th morning, I finally emerged from my room. Walking downstairs, my face was terrifyingly calm. Richard was reading the newspaper, and Susan was arranging flowers. I walked over, sat opposite them, and in a flat tone, recounted the entire farce from the bridal boutique. The air was dead silent. The newspaper in Richard's hands began to tremble slightly at the edges, then, with a rustle, he crumpled it into a ball. His face was ashen, and the veins on his forehead throbbed. That scoundrel! He slammed his hand on the table, the solid wood table emitting a dull thud, and the coffee cup on it jumped. What kind of person is Dylan? How dare he treat my daughter so shabbily? Uncle, what kind of person did he introduce? I'm calling him right now. Introducing such a beast to my precious daughter. Susan's reaction was even more exaggerated. Tears instantly welled up as she rushed over and embraced me, her voice trembling. My darling girl. My poor darling girl. What terrible fate is this? How dare he? How dare he treat you like this? This wedding is off. Break up with him immediately. Your father and I will go get justice for you. Watching my parents lose control due to extreme anger and heartache, my heart finally regained some warmth. Dylan being from a single-parent household was what my parents liked most about him. It was implicitly understood that he would be joining my family. Everything was an unspoken agreement. My parents only asked for a symbolic bride price, and my dowry was dozens of times what Dylan prepared for the bride price. Yet he dared to make such an outrageous request. No parent could possibly accept that. Dad, Mom, I began, my voice quiet but exceptionally calm, don't contact Uncle. My parents both looked at me, their eyes filled with disbelief and heartbreak. Why? Are you still thinking of? Susan eagerly grabbed my hand. No, I have no intention of forgiving him, and it's even less likely that I'll marry him. I took a deep breath, my gaze sweeping over my parents, and enunciated each word clearly. He played me like this, made our whole family look like fools. If I just broke up with him, letting him off scot-free, I wouldn't be able to swallow it. Richard's eyes instantly sharpened as he stared at me intently. Then what do you intend to do? I want revenge. I squeezed out those 4 words through gritted teeth. Marriage isn't child's play. He has to pay. Isn't he most concerned about his future, his reputation for duty to family? I want him to watch all those things shatter before him, one by one. I looked at my parents, pleading, so, Dad, Mom, don't tip him off. Let me handle it. Don't worry, I won't have any feelings for him anymore. I want him to know that using me and deceiving our Lynn family was the most foolish decision he ever made in his life. Susan started to say something, but Richard raised a hand to stop her. A wordless understanding, born of blood, passed between father and daughter with a single glance, allowing them to instantly grasp each other's thoughts. Good. Richard spoke a single word, firmly stating his position. Whatever you need from us, just say it. Remember, the Lynn family will always be your backup. I nodded, a strange sense of anticipation starting to build within me. A week passed, and Dylan sent neither a call nor a text message. It was as if his kneeling in the bridal boutique that day had been a hallucination. He was waiting for me to break down, to compromise, to willingly enable his touching duty to family. Perhaps in his eyes, I was completely under his thumb, having joined his family. Fine, then I would make the first move. I sent him a text message, Dylan, let's talk. He replied quickly, as if he had been sitting by his computer, waiting for my message. In a coffee shop booth, he plopped down beside me, his smug triumph at having me under his control almost spilling from his eyes. Seeing that I remained silent, he wasn't annoyed, taking it all as me throwing a tantrum. I know you're upset, he preempted, his voice filled with feigned sorrow, but darling, think about it, she's my mom. The mom who gave birth to me and raised me. She only has this one wish now, and as her only son, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to watch her leave this world with regrets? He skillfully unfurled the banner of duty to family. I lowered my head, mechanically stirring my coffee with a spoon, remaining silent, feigning an internal struggle. Seeing that I didn't respond, he shifted his focus to me. I always thought you were a reasonable, kind, and generous girl. I thought you would understand and support me. Does our relationship really mean less than a ceremonial wedding? Darling, do you truly love me, or do you just love the title of bride? His words amused me. The gaslighting arrived, late but inevitable. He was twisting the narrative, shifting the core issue from his outrageous request to my supposed obsession with a title and questioning my lack of love and kindness. I chose my moment, lifting my head, my eyes slightly red, my voice trembling with a hint of disbelief. You. How can you say that? I just can't accept that it won't be me standing beside you. He softened his tone, continuing to coax me with temptation. It's just a formality for my mom's sake. Once she's at peace, I'll send her to an upscale nursing home, and our lives can get back on track. Then, we'll go to the Maldives for our honeymoon, just the 2 of us, okay? He reached out to hold my hand, and I instinctively pulled back. Realizing this was a mistake, I immediately reached out and clasped his retreating hand. Unless, I said, as if finally making a difficult decision, biting my lip, throwing out the bait, unless you let me meet Amelia. I want to hear from her own lips that she's just helping out and has no other intentions. Dylan's expression instantly changed, his body visibly tensing, his protective instinct for her blatantly displayed. Why do you need to see her? Amelia is very innocent and timid, don't scare her. Take it out on me if you have to. I sneered inwardly, but on my face, I feigned hurt and grievance. Do you think I'm that malicious, someone who would hurt others? Dylan, I just want some peace of mind. Is that too much to ask? Or are you saying that in your eyes? I don't even have the right to meet her. I stood up, pretending to leave. If you can't even give me that much trust, then we have nothing left to discuss. No. He hastily rose and grabbed me. Let me. I'll arrange it. But you have to promise me you won't make things difficult for her when you meet. I remained silent, staring straight towards the coffee shop door. She's doing me a favor, I owe her. Darling, don't misunderstand, I'm just afraid. Afraid. I sharply turned my head, flung his hand away, and snapped, afraid of what? Afraid I'll hurt your first love. Or afraid of what? Dylan's face turned pale, and he stammered, no, darling. You know, my mom. I raised my hand, cutting him off before he could finish a complete sentence. Stop using your mom as an excuse. You haven't considered my feelings or my parents' feelings at all. To make him completely drop his guard, I played my final card. I've already spoken to my parents. But you still need to come back with me and explain to them yourself. Dylan's eyes instantly lit up, as if he saw the dawn of victory. He eagerly agreed, unable to hide the excitement on his face. That evening, I took him home. Even before we passed through the wrought iron gate, I could feel the suppressed fury emanating from my parents, like a volcano on the verge of erupting. I subtly gave them a look, and they took a deep breath, forcing their emotions down, their faces stiff. Dylan, probably too pleased with his single-parent household advantage and his joining my family submissive posture, didn't seem to notice the strange atmosphere at all. He sat on the sofa, back straight, and began his dramatic performance once again. Mr. Richard, Mrs. Susan, he said, his voice heavy, I know this request is extremely out of line, and I deeply apologize to Evelyn. But I truly have no other choice. My mom. She only recognizes Amelia. The doctor said this is her last wish, and if it's not fulfilled, her condition might rapidly worsen. He self-importantly pulled a tissue from the coffee table and dabbed at his non-existent tears. Amelia has no ill intentions at all. I'm the one who begged her. She's just soft-hearted. She only agreed to help because she pitied me. She doesn't want anything. Truly, it's purely out of kindness. He suddenly changed tack, as if a brilliant idea had just struck him, and then spoke with an air of bestowing a favor. Of course, if you, Dad and Mom, feel it's inappropriate, you could. You could symbolically give her a payment later, as a fee for her performance? After all, she's a young woman, sacrificing her reputation to help out. He suddenly changed his address, speaking as if he had already successfully assumed the role of my family's live-in son-in-law, telling my parents what to do. As the words fee for her performance left his lips, I clearly saw Richard's hand, resting on his knee, clench into a fist, his knuckles turning white. Susan's breathing suddenly became heavy, her chest heaving violently, about to erupt. Dylan seemed to realize his words were a bit too brazen, so he sheepishly fell silent, quickly trying to make amends. Of course, this is just an immature idea of mine. It mainly depends on what Dad, Mom, and Evelyn think. After the wedding, once my mom is settled in the nursing home, I'll officially be joining the Lynn family, and I'll certainly be dutiful to both of you and make it up to Evelyn. That look of his, calculating to the bone yet putting on an air of great sacrifice and deep affection, made my stomach churn. Enough, Dylan. We're not married yet, so changing your address now isn't appropriate. I saw that if he continued, my parents really would lose control and kick him out on the spot. I spoke again, my voice tinged with entreaty. Dad, Mom, please. Don't make it difficult for him. He has it tough too. I looked at Dylan, my expression complex. All right, I agree to your request. In that moment, an undisguised joy, a look of profound relief, bloomed on Dylan's face. He probably genuinely believed that with his wisdom and deep affection, he had successfully appeased me, handled my parents, and was on the verge of fulfilling his dream of loyalty and filial piety. I finally met Amelia, the Amelia Dylan spoke of. She was a slender woman who appeared shy and introverted. Food tasting, wedding gown fittings, pre-wedding photo shoots, confirming the wedding schedule. We three were present for all these steps. But it was Amelia who stood beside Dylan, smiling and offering a pinio. An S in the manner of a hostess. I was merely an escort. I watched them in the high-end bridal boutique. Amelia wore the main gown Dylan had carefully chosen, twirling in front of the mirror, while Dylan stood behind her, his eyes so tender they could drip with affection, his arm naturally around her waist. The store employees sensed the strangeness, but seeing Dylan's unhesitating manner when swiping his card, they could only suppress the sympathy in their eyes, calling Amelia Ms. Amelia, you're so beautiful, but never once uttering the word bride. The day of the food tasting reached the pinnacle of absurdity. She held the menu, sweetly asking Dylan, is this lobster good? Will like it? Dylan replied with a doting expression, you decide. What you and Mom like is most important. I sat across from them, watching the two of them with their heads together, whispering plans, occasionally sharing a glance and a smile. Their chemistry and sweetness stung my eyes. I felt like a wedding planner, helping this new couple complete their wedding arrangements. I suppressed all my swirling emotions, played along with their act, and even managed a genuinely gentle smile when they asked for my opinion. Whatever you like. Everything was harmonious until it came to finalizing the guest list. I handed over my list of fake relatives, then casually asked Dylan, your father. Do you need my help contacting him? A wedding is a big event, he should at least know. Dylan's face instantly darkened, like an abandoned animal. He clenched his fist abruptly, his voice harsh and furious. Why are you bringing him up? He's been dead to me. I don't have a father. I stepped forward and gently took his arm, softly persuading him. Don't be like that, Dylan. He is your biological father, after all. For such a big event as a wedding, if he could be there, Eleanor would surely be even happier. It might even help her condition, don't you think? My words precisely struck a fatal blow to Dylan's duty to family logic. He choked, his facial muscles twitching repeatedly. Duty to family is paramount, Dylan. You wouldn't want Eleanor to have any regrets, would you? Amelia, standing nearby, cast a timely, puzzled glance. As if afraid Amelia would catch on, Dylan stammered for a long time, eventually, with extreme reluctance, pulling a crumpled slip of paper from a hidden flap in his wallet. On it was a faded address and a phone number that had long been disconnected. He threw it in front of me, with a certainty that I couldn't succeed, yet a fear that I might. Here. This is it. Haven't spoken to him in years, he's probably dead somewhere. Don't waste your time. I took the slip of paper, its ink already blurred, my fingertip brushing its frayed edge, and gave a faint smile. He thought this would stump me, make me retreat? Ridiculous. I utilized every connection I had. Private investigators, my father's network. We followed the faint clues on the paper, searching painstakingly in the vast sea of humanity. The process was not smooth, the address was fake, the phone number was dead. Arthur seemed to have intentionally erased all his traces. But eventually, we found him. I heard he was having a very difficult time. 3 days before the wedding, all preparations were complete. Dylan and Amelia were completely immersed in the joy of their impending dream fulfillment, finally dropping their last shred of guard against me, their understanding fiancé. Watching the intimate interactions between the two, I dialed Dylan's father's number. The call connected, and a slightly weathered and wary male voice answered from the other end. Who is this? I slowly spoke, politely but with firm boundaries. Is this Mr. Arthur? Hello, I'm Evelyn, your son Dylan's fiancée. We'd like to invite you and your wife to attend our wedding in 3 days. I've already booked your train tickets and hotel. Your son is excellent. He graduated with a master's degree and has a good monthly salary. It's time for you to enjoy the blessings of your children and grandchildren, isn't it? On the wedding day, the hotel ballroom shimmered with lights, filled with guests. I was dressed in a tasteful casual outfit, surveying the wedding venue Dylan had spent a fortune on. A colleague of Dylan standing nearby commented on the expensive floral arrangements. I heard Dylan poured his entire savings into this wedding, just to give the bride a truly unforgettable day. It's really something to envy. Dylan, in a crisp suit, his hair meticulously combed, stood in the hotel lobby greeting guests. When he saw me arrive, a flicker of almost imperceptible guilt crossed his eyes, then vanished. He walked over to me, boasting, Evelyn, why don't you still come and be a bridesmaid? Just stand behind Amelia. See, that way, when we're exchanging vows on stage, the person I'm looking at will actually be you. For me, the person I'm committing my life to has always been you. He was still gaslighting me with his usual tactics, trying to weave a false dream for me, making me willingly immerse myself in this our wedding, even asking me to hand over the rings myself. I stared into his eyes, trying to see if there were any human emotions left within them. Dylan was visibly embarrassed, his gaze darting around. I curved my lips into an incredibly considerate smile, my gaze shifting to Dylan's mother, sitting in her wheelchair not far away. No, my voice was soft yet firm, Eleanor can't be left alone. Today is a very important day for her, and I need to stay with her. After all, today's show, she's the most important audience, isn't she? I deliberately emphasized show and audience, but unfortunately, Dylan, blinded by joy, completely missed the sarcasm. He was deeply moved, stepping forward to tightly grasp my hand, then letting go the next second, looking left and right as if afraid of being seen. Evelyn, you're truly too sensible. You're sacrificing so much today, but once my mom is settled, I'll compensate you 1,000-fold. He uttered a few more weightless sweet assurances, then impatiently turned and abandoned his mother and me, to go and greet his bride's entrance. The MC's enthusiastic voice echoed through the hall via the sound system. Lights focused on the tightly shut ballroom doors. Everyone leaned forward, eagerly awaiting bride Amelia's grand entrance. Dylan stood at the end of the red carpet, adjusting his tie, his face alight with uncontrollable, almost trembling anticipation. I pushed the wheelchair, leaning down to Dylan's mother's ear, saying clearly and calmly, "Eleanor, the real show is just beginning. It's too noisy here, I'll take you to a better spot to watch your son's performance." With that, I didn't spare another glance for the man immersed in his beautiful dream on stage. Pushing the wheelchair, I calmly and steadily, step by step, walked against the tide of everyone's expectant gazes, directly out of the noisy ballroom. Behind me was the surprise I had prepared for Dylan's wedding. The wedding ceremony proceeded in an orderly fashion. Every step had been meticulously planned by me. Before the formal parental blessing ceremony, the groom and bride read handwritten letters to each other, pouring out their hearts. The MC, with his professional demeanor, diligently moved the program along. Everything was perfect. Finally, it was time for the segment I most anticipated, the formal parental blessing ceremony. The MC raised his voice, filling it with festive cheer, trying to amp up the audience's emotions. Next, with our warmest applause, let's invite the parents of the groom and bride to the stage to receive the newlyweds' bows and gratitude. The spotlight, as if on cue, hit the reserved spot next to the head table, meant for both sets of closest relatives. All the guests' gazes, including Dylan and Amelia, full of smiles and anticipation, swiveled towards it. The next second, He self-satisfied smile on Dylan's face instantly froze. The entire ballroom fell into an eerie silence. Whispers spread like a tide. What's going on? Shouldn't it be both sets of parents? I don't know. Why are there only two people sitting there? Who's that man? Never seen him before. And that woman isn't Mrs. Lynn. Don't you know? Amelia was our high school classmate. She's an orphan. Under the spotlight, a pair of unknown individuals waited to be served tea. The man, around 50, wore a clearly ill-fitting, even outdated suit. His face, showing traces of resemblance to Dylan but more aged and weathered, looked on. Beside him, the woman wore an overly bright fuchsia suit, clashing dramatically with the venue's decor. A victor's smile played on her lips as her eyes constantly darted towards the audience, her mouth curved in a wide arc. Dylan stared fixedly at the middle-aged man, the color draining from his face little by little, his mind a blank. A tearing pain erupted in his chest. He felt as though he had transformed back into that frail child, running after a car in the pouring rain. That brutal kick to his chest, delivered by the man who callously left him to shake him off, years later, had once again hit him precisely. His face was ashen white, and he stumbled backward uncontrollably, knocking over the decorative champagne tower behind him. The piercing sound of breaking glass seemed unheard by him. He simply stared, unmoving, at the man in the ill-fitting suit, his lips trembling, unable to utter a sound. "You. It's you." He finally squeezed out fractured words through his gritted teeth. The MC was also bewildered, holding the microphone, awkwardly trying to smooth things over. It seems our groom and bride are a bit emotional. Let's give them another round of warm applause." Dylan heard nothing the MC said. Amelia pulled his arm, but he remained oblivious. Dylan's world narrowed to only that man and woman. His father and the mistress who had brazenly entered their home years ago and stolen his dad. He abruptly turned, his gaze frantically sweeping the entire hall, searching for me, searching for his mom. Meanwhile, his mother and I watched this breathtaking drama unfold from the dimly lit circular corridor on the second floor of the ballroom. Dylan's mother, following her son's horrified gaze, also saw the man she had hated and feared her entire life, and the woman she had despised for just as long. Extreme resentment, humiliation, like an electric current, pierced through her Alzheimer's. A gurgling sound escaped her throat, her eyes widened abruptly, her body convulsed violently, and then her head slumped to one side. She slid directly from the wheelchair, falling heavily to the ground with a thud, unconscious. "Mom!" Dylan let out a heart-wrenching roar. He no longer cared for his first love on stage, nor the hundreds of guests. Like a wounded beast, his eyes red-rimmed, he lunged towards the audience. The scene instantly descended into chaos. Guests gasped and stood up, the MC was dumbfounded, and Amelia, in her heavy wedding gown, tried to restrain the out-of-control Dylan, her face a mask of bewilderment and terror. Just as this extreme chaos reached its peak, a clear voice came through the sound system. "Ladies and gentlemen, please remain calm." I stood center stage, microphone in hand. My gaze calmly swept across the room, finally settling on the rigid figure of Dylan. First, I want to thank everyone for taking the time to attend Mr. Dillon, and I paused, turning slightly to glance at a trembling Amelia beside me, then clearly enunciated 2 words, this young lady's wedding. The hall instantly quieted considerably. Everyone was stunned by the sudden turn of events and my composure. I imagine many of you are quite confused, as today's bride does not appear to be the original choice. My tone was steady, as if stating a fact unrelated to me. I'd like to take this opportunity to officially clarify the situation. Dillon, who had rushed to his mother's side, suddenly looked up at my words, his eyes blazing with towering rage and disbelief. Meeting his gaze, I stated, word by word, Evelyn, was supposed to be the bride today. But a month before the wedding, Dillon informed me that his mother had Alzheimer's and only recognized his first love, Ms. Amelia, who was standing beside him, as her daughter-in-law. To honor his mother's wishes, he begged me to cede my place as the bride in this wedding, allowing Ms. Amelia to play the role and fulfill his mother's desire. Whoosh! The hall instantly erupted. Unbelievable murmurs rose in a thunderous wave. Uncle abruptly stood, his face beyond furious. I continued, my voice cutting through the microphone with icy precision. I agreed, out of a desire to accommodate his filial duty. And to make this charade more convincing, I went through considerable trouble to bring back Dillon's father, to ensure he had a complete wedding. My finger pointed directly at the stunned couple below the stage. I imagine nothing could make a dutiful son and his gravely ill mother feel more complete than having both parents present, wouldn't you agree? The truth was revealed, tearing open Dillon's entire facade of hypocrisy. It laid Dillon's sordid intentions, his twisted filial piety, and all the shameful aspects of his family's past bare for all to see. Uncle trembled with rage, pointing at Dillon, unable to utter a single word. Dillon's colleagues openly displayed expressions of contempt and disgust. Their relatives and friends below buzzed with chatter, accusations, gasps of shock, and curses filling the air. My parents stormed out. The scene had completely spiraled out of control. Dillon knelt on the cold floor, cradling his unconscious mother, enduring the pointing and whispering of all the guests. As I tore away his last shred of dignity, he gasped, mouth agape like a dying fish, unable to make any sound on heavy breaths and eyes filled with despair. I stood center stage, feeling all eyes fixed upon me, and gently placed the microphone back on its stand. This absurd drama, directed by him, had finally ended. The next morning, heavy, low-hanging clouds pressed down, as if threatening to unleash a storm at any moment. The doorbell rang insistently, on and off, breaking the early morning tranquility of the neighborhood. Through the intercom screen, I saw Dillon. He stood outside the wrought iron gate, his hair disheveled, eyes hollowed. Yesterday's suit was crumpled around him, stained with what looked like wine or tears. His expression was blank as he numbly pressed our fence-mounted doorbell repeatedly. I opened the intercom, my voice calm and even. What do you want? He seemed ignited by those simple words, lunging towards the intercom screen, shouting into the camera, Evelyn, get your ass out here. You did that to my mother. You ruined my wedding. You ruined my entire life. You and your parents owe me an explanation. He furiously rattled the sturdy gate, like a caged animal. Is this how your family raises a daughter? So vicious, so heartless and cruel? Get out here, all of you. Even now, he clung to his ridiculous logic, believing that his joining my family, with implied financial arrangements, meant our family had married up, that we should all be eternally grateful for his sacrifice, and that I, his undisciplined daughter, was simply causing trouble. I couldn't even be bothered to respond to his ludicrous accusations. Just then, his cell phone rang. He impatiently pulled it from his pocket. Seeing Mr. Thomas flash on the screen, his expression shifted slightly. He took a deep breath, forced himself to suppress his anger, and answered, Mr. Thomas, I. He had barely spoken when a torrent of furious shouting from the other end of the line was faintly audible, even to me standing inside the door. Dillon, I'm informing you on behalf of the company. Effective immediately, you're fired. Get out, right now. Mr. Thomas, please let me explain. Explain nothing. You're on your own now. The call was slammed down. Dillon stood frozen in place, holding his cell phone. The color drained from his face at a visible rate, leaving it ashen white. His career and connections, cultivated painstakingly over years, had crumbled to dust in a single day. Before he could recover from that blow, another call came in, from the wedding planner. Mr. Dillon, when are you going to settle the final payment? And the hotel bill, you only paid the deposit. If you don't settle it soon, we'll have no choice but to take legal action. After finally fobbing off the wedding planner's call, Amelia's call came through, her voice icy, filled with unmasked resentment. Dylan, where's the money you promised me? Are you playing me for a fool? The whole city knows I'm a laughingstock now. Where's the money? If I don't get it, I'm not done with you. The debt collection calls came one after another, like death warrants. He stared despondently at his cell phone, as if it were a bomb about to explode. A few days later, I heard that Dylan's mother, overwhelmed by the shock, had a severe relapse and was sent directly from their small apartment to the hospital. The planned luxury assisted living facility was naturally out of the question, as Dylan couldn't even scrape together the hospital deposit. After failing to get the compensation she wanted, Amelia quickly made off with all the valuable items from Dylan's home and vanished without a trace. Before leaving, she even posted an update on her social media post, "Wasted my heart on the wrong person, luckily I cut my losses in time." Dylan himself was burdened with heavy debt, busy looking for work and caring for his incontinent mother. His filial piety, once his greatest pride, became the straw that broke the camel's back for him and his mother. Dylan's biological father found me, using my previous contact information. "Hey there, Evelyn, do you happen to have Dylan's address?" As soon as he said that, I knew exactly what he meant, didn't I? Seeing my silence, the man quickly added, "We don't mean to impose on you, we just want to find my son. I'm old, it's time for me to enjoy my old age." I smiled, had someone look up the address, and arranged for the two of them to be driven to their destination. Arthur, a cheap cigarette dangling from his lips, pushed open the door to Dylan's newly rented basement apartment. "Son, I hear things aren't going so well for you these days?" He exhaled a smoke ring, his tone dripping with revolting familiarity. "But no matter what, you're my son, and legally, you have an obligation to support me. Brenda and I are old and have no income, so you'll have to provide for us." Dylan trembled with rage, pointing towards the door. "Get out. Get out of here. When you walked out on me all those years ago, why didn't you remember I was your son?" Brenda immediately interjected shrilly, "Oh, you can't talk like that. Blood is thicker than water. We've heard you used to work for a big company, surely you have some savings? If you don't give us money, we'll take you to court." With that, the two of them carried their luggage into the dark, damp basement apartment and plopped down on the only bed in the room. Eleanor gibbered incoherently on the bed, and a foul odor slowly permeated the air. Outside the window, the world buzzed with traffic, and the sun shone brightly, but no ray of light could penetrate his world ever again. His life had ceased to be any concern of mine the moment he knelt and begged me to seat our wedding. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments. Feel free to share your perspectives, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.